What's up? What's up? Good evening to everybody. Had to do this live. Had to do this live. It was about that time. You guys may not know me. If you do know me, my name is D. The show we call D Knows. We do football, and we are powered by the slant. So, thank you guys for coming in here tonight. Uh, this is something that's been a long time in the making as I get my earphones in here. Still trying to learn how to work all this stuff, to be totally honest. But good to do it this way. Uh, if you're watching it, you want to be a part of a football show where the audience is a part of the show, the community is a part of the show, this is going to be the place to be. We're going to try to start this where this is pretty much going to be like an everyday thing for the most part, except the weekend. That's the goal. Uh, so what we gonna do is we're going to get into it. Um, so I have on the sheet today. We got, of course, you guys saw the thumbnail, so we got to definitely talk about Mike Tomlin. Um, as you guys see, the media is starting to kind of shift their wave on Mike Tomlin. And if you guys know, I've been doing this channel for almost, I want to say almost 3 years now, close to 3 years. Might not be exactly three, but I've been a proponent of Mike Tomlin moving on at this point. I think his time is up. It's been up, I say, since 2020, to be totally honest, when they lost to the Cleveland Browns in that playoff game through the pandemic or whatever the case may be. And I just been thought it was time to go. He has not been able to adapt. And now you're hearing uh, people like Ben Roethlisberger come out and talk about Mike Tomlin maybe needing to do something different. So we're going to listen to Ben talk about Mike Tomlin starting to look for a new job. So I'm gonna pull it up and we're gonna make this happen here. So let me pull this up for you guys can hear what Ben said, get a little bit of what he's talking about. You know, bear with me because I am still learning this stuff. So this is definitely new to me still. So let me share my screen and let's listen to Ben. Okay, I hope you guys heard that. Basically, Ben Roethlisberger is saying, "Hey, it's time to go a new way. Look at the Penn State job." And here's my thoughts on it. This is what I've been talking about for years. It's only a couple ways you're going to be able to do this, and we all know Art Rooney II does not like firing head coaches. They've only had 3 coaches since the 1960s, and this is a legacy play for the Steelers organization, and they don't want to set a new precedent. But something has to change. And here's my thoughts on it's 2 ways of doing this. This is the lesser of the evil uh, because I would let them go, me personally. But if they want to have the whole we don't fire coaches and we want to part ways, okay, of course you can let his contract run out at the end of next year. Then you can part ways with him. That's probably the lesser of the 2 evils for Art Rooney II, where he doesn't have any quote unquote blood on his hands. But what I would do is, if I'm Art Rooney and I don't want to fire him, I would tell Mike that you have to become a CEO at this point. You cannot sit in a situation where you have your hands on everything because it's throwing a lot of people under the bus. You hired Randy Fichtner, who was the offensive coordinator. He wasn't that great. Randy Fichtner has not had a job since the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't even know where Matt Canada at. We have not seen him in, God knows how long. So you've had a whole bunch of these guys in here. Now you have Terrell Austin as the defensive coordinator. He's been there for a while, and he's starting to look like the lame duck. But when you hear a lot of these guys talking, they talk in code because they don't want to throw Mike Tomlin under the bus. Mike Tomlin has his fingerprints all over the defense and the offense. So Terrell Austin gets a bad rap about not being able to make defensive calls, and we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, $170 million this year in salary for the defense. And they're like one of the worst defenses in the league. If you go all the way back to when Minka Fitzpatrick was in Pittsburgh, the defense looked exactly the same, and they was blaming Minka Fitzpatrick. He doesn't look the same. He's not all over the field. And they got Minka Fitzpatrick 50 yards off the ball. Well, they're doing the exact same thing they was doing when Minka Fitzpatrick was here. It was always the middle linebackers that they can't cover. They can't cover. But they're running that same principle defense. And when you have people like Julian Edelman come out and say this is the exact same defense that they were running in 2016, still running this stale cover 3 with no changes to the alignment, no spoof type of defenses where you can't figure out where it's coming from. Mike Tomlin has not adapted. So when you have those type of things going on, you're going to get what you get. This is why offenses see the Pittsburgh Steelers defense and they just carve it up. So if you have offensive coordinators, whether they are good or bad, and you have offensive coordinators that wants no passes to go over the middle of the field, he wants to run the ball a certain way, and it start looking the same, and it's different coordinators from Arthur Smith to Randy Fichtner. Well, I'm going to say with Randy Fichtner, Ben Roethlisberger kind of ran his own offense. But it really wasn't any structure to that offense either. That offense, the last year or two of Ben's career, didn't look good either. So this has been a problem. He hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. We got to look at it at this point and say, is this consistency or complacency? So that would be my first suggestion to Art Rooney if I was consulting him and say, hey, if you do not want to fire him and you don't want to go through the process of trading him off this year, you have to tell Mike to be the CEO, be hands off, bring in some creative minds. Bring in some creative minds. You let Brian Flores, emerging defensive coordinator. He already had been a head coach, so he understands things. He's over there with the Minnesota Vikings. You had him in your possession as a top tier defensive coordinator, and you let him go. That has to be an ego play. So you had him. He was there, and you let him go to keep what you were doing. And what you do does not work. Then you have the guys you brought in. Like I said, you brought in Randy Fichtner, you brought in Matt Canada, and then you brought in Arthur Smith. Two of those offensive coordinators, they don't even have jobs in college or high school. So that just tells you how much value they have. Arthur Smith, he's okay. I mean, he came out of that system where he made Ryan Tannehill look better, but let's call it spade a spade. The way it's looking now, they really played off of Derrick Henry. And that year, Derrick Henry went crazy running the ball. So it made Tannehill's job easier. So when you have that going on, it was easy for Arthur Smith to be a prime candidate for a job. He got the job in Atlanta. It didn't work out well. We know Desmond Ritter went the guy or whatever the case may be. And that's all well and good. But this offense that he's running in Pittsburgh is so generic. And I think it fits Mike Tomlin's personality at this point. Mike Tomlin has gotten stale. He has not reinvented himself. And that's an issue. That's a real issue. You know, you can't keep doing the same thing every day. It's like being in a relationship and you know every Tuesday it's like meatloaf day or something like that. Like after a few years, you go be like, okay, it's time to, maybe change it up or something. After a few months, it's like we know every Tuesday is gonna be meatloaf day. So you know what you're expecting, and I just think that's what's going on with Mike Tomlin. He has to adapt. He has not reinvented himself. Andy Reid went and reinvented himself, and he was ahead of the curve on offense when he was hired by the Philadelphia Eagles back in the day. But even him in Philly got stale, went to Kansas City, and, the rest is history. So I think at this point now with Mike Tomlin, you have to look at either you're going to reinvent yourself or you got to go. And I've been saying this for a while. Listen, I've talked to a couple of these guys that played under him, and they argue with me like, well, who would we bring in if we let Mike Tomlin go? That's just their words. I got a couple candidates. You look at Brian Flores, of course. You look at Robert Saleh. And you look at somebody like Josh McCown. I think Josh McCown is going to be one of the next big either coordinators or head coaches. Just by personality-wise, I think Josh McCown is going to be pretty good. Now, I might be overshooting the gun because he's only a quarterback coach right now, but I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be ready to take that next step soon. But if you want immediate, not really retreads, because we know the situation Saleh was in New York. Woody Johnson over there, he's not a good owner. This thing only gonna work in New York because Aaron Glenn is one of his former players, so he's probably gonna give him more reign to kind of do his thing. But Saleh was getting drove crazy in New York. So I think Saleh would be a good redemption story to bring into Pittsburgh. Defense first guy, young, energetic guy still. I think that would be a perfect fit the identity of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defense. And then, of course, Brian Flores, defense. And I think those guys would bring in offensive-minded guys because they're more up to speed on the game to me than Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has been in a safe space. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the most stable organization in the NFL, one of the most stable organizations in sports. And you get what you get out of that. Like it's cool until it's not cool, and he's comfortable. It's almost like an entitlement. He knows he's coming to work the next day as long as he gets to 500. So they got to look at that situation. Me personally, I think Mike Tomlin, like Ben Roethlisberger said, would be perfect for Penn State. Now, I think Penn State may hire Iowa State's coach, which is looking like, but he'd be perfect for college. Can you think about recruiting with Mike Tomlin in a high school kid's house, talking to his parents? He would get all the NIL money to recruit all the high school kids. He would have a great program, especially the first couple years. I mean, so I definitely think that would work, but they definitely got to do something different. They got Baltimore coming up here Sunday. And if they lose to Baltimore, they drop like the next 2 or 3. Art gonna really have some things to think about because they're gonna be really in trouble. But I don't care if they went 9 or 8 or 9 or whatever the case may be, and they got them same results to get to the first round of the playoffs and get knocked out. I still would part ways with Mike Tomlin. Now that's just my opinion, but let me know what you guys think about that. Really, seriously, because I think it's stale. It's stale as an old bologna sandwich. But let's go into the next thing. We got to talk about Mr. George Pickens. And George Pickens is being George Pickens. Never denied George Pickens' talent. I've always said, me personally, that George Pickens was like Randy Moss light. I mean, his range, his catch radius is crazy. He got the speed. He can route run. You go see the spectacular catches. We go get all of that from George Pickens. But even I had to go back and look at it. George Pickens looked like he was going through a mental meltdown yesterday night. He just looked like it was not his night. And the problem is you going for that bag. You're supposed to be a star wide receiver. Just the week before that, you had a big game. And, you kind of got shut down yesterday night by the Lions. And now all of a sudden you just look like you lost your dog. And Richard Sherman called him out. But George Pickens had something to say about that. And let me get that pulled up here. He had a nice little clapback on Instagram, and it was deleted by George Pickens. I'm pretty sure the Dallas Cowboys got involved and said, George, we cannot do that. So let's look at this real quick. And so as you guys can see, he's responding to Richard Sherman, basically saying he didn't show up and that he had given up on the team last night. And George had a lot to say with the Young Jeezy Trapper Die instrumental playing. He said, this is a team game. I am not the only one on this team. Stop becoming an analyst and talking about one player when he playing a team game. A lot of things have to go right. We see all the expletive words from George. A lot of stuff has to go right for explosive plays. And it's funny because I thought former players would know this. Richard, you kitty cat Sherman, not going to say that, who went nothing without the Legion of Boom. Remember San Francisco, brother. Then he said much love and that Richard Sherman is D-Ride and a whole bunch of stuff and called him a weirdo. And listen, George Pickens is I say it all the time. He is one of the most talented athletes, receivers that I've ever seen in my life. But the immaturity of George Pickens is going to be what costs him. He has to get his emotions in check. You are here to do a job. When when you were last week, when you went for like 140 yards, had like 11 catches, you didn't put out that type of Instagram post and said, "Hey, I don't want nobody celebrating me." You had went the whole week where everybody was saying George Pickens is probably the best wide receiver in football right now. I didn't see you put up an IG post or a Twitter post saying, "No, don't give me that credit. I don't need none of it. This was a team effort." We didn't see you put that up. So when you get some criticism, whether fair or not, you get some criticism from a Hall of Famer and Richard Sherman, or just an analyst, period, like myself. And he tells you, "Hey, I feel like you was, hot dogging out there. You didn't play your hardest. You didn't play full speed." And I'm telling you, looking at some of those plays, I don't know what was going on. It looked like you could have caught the one deep pass or at least attempted to catch it. And then the route you ran, the comeback route you ran, you didn't sell it. So the defender just jumped you. He jumped on that fourth down play because you did not sell the play. And you could tell Dak was mad as hell about that. So, you can't fool us. We're watching you. You have to understand you had a bad night or whatever the case may be. But it was on you. So when you get some criticism, that's what comes with the territory. So I think it's kind of out of pocket that he went on Instagram and did all of that. I think he's wasted his time. Like I said, George Pickens is one of the most gifted NFL wide receivers I've ever seen. But he got to get this part right. His head, he got to get his head in the game. And I think a lot of times he's missing the boat. And you're in a contract season. Now you guys got to tell me, would you give George Pickens $40 million a year? Because when he has one bad night or he has an off game, it's looking like he falls apart. And this was the problem that he was having in Pittsburgh. All the talent in the world. Mike Tomlin's supposed to be the players coach and all this and all that, whether you agree with it or not. But even he traded you. And he was starting to prove people wrong that, hey, the Steelers made a mistake in getting rid of you. They made the mistake. They let you go. And you was going to make them pay. And through these first, 10, 11 weeks or whatever the case may be, you were doing that. Then you had this situation come up. And it's like, come on, man. You know better than that. You got to get paid. How you go get paid? If you constantly having these issues. Come on, man. You better than that. So I don't know, George, man. I'm pulling for you, but you got to figure it out, man. You got to figure it out, man, because these antics gonna have you out the league in a minute. No team is going to want to deal with you. And that's just my thoughts, but I could be totally wrong. So uh, so let's just jump into our next subject. Let's see what I got on the docket here. Oh, Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, this is getting pretty good with Kevin Stefanski. Obviously, his agent, they are working overtime because they're starting to already say circling rumors. If Kevin Stefanski get let go in Cleveland, it's a whole bunch of teams that's interested in him. And obviously, his agent is at work. I think he's with CAA, and this is how it goes. They want to make sure they put the bait out in the water for teams to know, hey, it ain't his fault in Cleveland that it looks the way it looks. Now, listen, as far as Kevin Stefanski goes, I think he probably a better coordinator than me than he is a coach. But I mean, I'll say he's okay. I'm not gonna say he's the a leader of men like I would want him to be for my head coach personally. But I will say this: being the Cleveland Browns coach is like do a hard time. You know, it is not an easy job to do, and he has never been able to. Let me see. He's never been able to pick his quarterback the way he wants to pick his quarterback. Uh, he's never had the leeway to get the guy that he wanted. They traded for Deshaun Watson. He was not in a process of for picking Baker Mayfield. Matter of fact, I think Baker was in Cleveland before Kevin Stefanski got there, and then he got Dylan Gabriel, I guess, but he's a third rounder. He's never gotten that first round quarterback, So, uh, when you look at the situation, he's never really had a chance to do it the way he wants to do it. Uh, the Browns organization in itself is a mess. And like according to Jeremy Fowler, let me read this. Let me pull it up here real quick. I'm gonna get better with this, guys. I promise. I'm still learning this thing, how to have all of this up. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. And I'm be honest, I think the Browns need to go a different way, to be totally honest. I think they just need to clean house completely. It's just not going to work with all these moving parts. I don't even know if they keep Andrew Berry, to be honest. Now, this draft was an excellent draft. This was probably the best draft he's had. No, it's not a probably about it. This is the best draft he's had since he's taken over the job. Quinshawn Junkins, the linebacker, of course, Harold Fanning. I mean, he really nailed this draft, but the rest of the drafts have been terrible, terrible. So, according to Jeremy Fowler, he said Kevin Stefanski's future comes up often in my conversations with people in the league due to the Browns' 6-23 record the past two seasons. Yeah, it's been rough. I would hate to be a Browns fan. Another reason his name comes up, several executives and coaches Jeremy spoke to, believes he'll be a prime candidate for a head coaching job elsewhere should Cleveland move on after the season. He's a good coach, experienced two-time coach of the year. And Cleveland is a hard place to win. An AFC executive says he needs a fresh start somewhere else. So, that's going to be interesting. He actually plays a team that's going to need a head coach Sunday in the Tennessee Titans with Cam Ward down there. Cam Ward ain't got much to work with down there. I mean, they are in a worse position than the Cleveland Browns is. But you got that situation. You have the New York Giants. Um, Maybe the Raiders come available. I don't know if they're going to hold on to Pete Carroll down there in Las Vegas. But it's going to be a couple job openings. It's going to be a couple job openings. If I'm Kevin Stefanski, like I said, I would cut bait too. Come to the mutual decision because if you're not going to be able to have full hands-on autonomy of the players that you want, I mean, of course you go hand to hand with your GM, but to get blamed for the Shador Sanders just now getting in the game these last 2 weeks, I mean, he had took so much flack too, and his organization is just such a mess. I would just want to clean start myself too, and that's just being honest. It's hard to win in Cleveland. Show me a coach that's won in Cleveland in the last what, almost 30 years at this point. Who had the best run in Cleveland? Bush Davis. I think he got him to the playoffs against the Steelers that 1 year. Bush Davis did, and they had like a couple 7-9 records at that time. I'm trying to think here. Browns have had so many coaches. We're gonna have to look that one up. But the Browns, they can't get out their own way to save their lives. So, listen, if Kevin Stefanski want to get up out of there, I would. I would cut bait. Now, who would the Browns bring in is the question. I mean, they had Mike Vrabel in the building and let him go. Now, we don't know if Mike Vrabel would have actually took that job. You know what I mean? He probably knew that New England job was coming available, and he stuck around with the Browns just to keep himself, in coaching shape, have something to do. And he probably would have took the job if it was there, but he probably knew that New England job was coming open, especially with Drake May, and you won titles. You an infinite lore in New England, so. Yeah, the Browns probably would go get Mike Vrabel anyway, but I mean, I don't even know who they would bring in. Now they're in a situation where whoever the coach and the GM is, you still got Deshaun Watson on your cap for the next 2 years. I think if you cut bait with Deshaun Watson now, they take what is it, $80 million in a dead cap hit, and I think 40 the next year. So in 2026, Deshaun Watson will be sitting on your bench, making what he's making. Unless you can finesse a team somewhere to even take him on, which no one's going to do. I think they also have with the offensive line. Nobody on the offensive line is signed. Like this is going to be a real teardown. Um, I don't know. Then if they lose this game, no, if they actually go and beat Tennessee, which they're the better team, they're better than Tennessee. That's going to take them out of the top 4 picks. So if you wanted Fernando Mendoza, you're now going to have to put some picks together to go get him if you want a quarterback. Then if you bring a quarterback in with the Shadoraholics, they going to say you're trying to sabotage Shador. So I don't know. The Cleveland Browns is a mess in itself. I don't know what to tell you, what to do with them. They are an interesting bunch to say the least. But what do you guys think about that? Because they're in a situation. They're definitely in a situation. Let me see here. Okay, okay, we got a Twitch viewer. Let's see what we looking like. Appreciate you stopping by. We go build this thing brick by brick, and we will be doing a lot more. Like this is just the start. This is like the starting ground for us. We gonna grow. We gonna have giveaways, all types of contests. The community will be involved. So whoever you are at that Twitch viewer on the other side, I appreciate you being here. Salute to you, for real. I do. What else I wanted to do here? I actually wanted to pull up the matchups for this week. Let's pull up the matchups here. Um, I'll do my do some quick predictions here. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so let's see here. Let's share the screen with you guys. All right, what we got for this week? We got all right, so we of course we had the Lions and the Cowboys. That game's already done. So we got the Titans and Browns. That is the tank game, I would call it. Allegedly, no one's tanking. Allegedly. But of course, I'm gonna take the Browns in that game. I don't think that game's going to be close. Cam Ward has nothing to work with down there, and then they have Dan Moore trying to stop Myles Garrett. So good luck. Myles Garrett probably had like 10 sacks in that game. Cam Ward's gonna be under duress that whole game, so I think the Browns will pull that game out easily. Of course, we got the Seahawks and the Falcons. The Falcons. Oh, that's another thing. Kevin Stefanski to take that Falcons job because I think Raheem Morris is going to be fired. He has underperformed 2 years straight. And I had him on my hot seat a couple years ago when he took that job. I didn't even know if he's going to make it through the full year. But I can't see him making it through this year with that talented of a roster. Those young guys they brought in, Jesse Bates uh, on defense last year. They drafted the two guys, the two edge rushers. What's James? Is it? I can't think of the names right now. But I know they drafted the two edge rushers, and they just have not been right. Now I know Michael Penix had the ACL, but you got Kirk Cousins as a backup, almost a $200 million man. Yeah, that's a wrap down there. I think Raheem Morris is gone. So I can see Kevin Stefanski actually going there. That would make a lot of sense because there's a lot of money put into that roster. So, uh, but Seahawks steamroll. They'll steamroll Atlanta. Uh, Now the Colts Jacksonville game is going to be interesting. Daniel Jones is not fully healthy. He's dealing with like some type of break in his leg, and he's trying to gut it out. Um, they go down to Jacksonville. Jacksonville has been pretty hot. Trevor Lawrence, still to me, he's not a franchise quarterback. I believe Trevor Lawrence is kind of overrated. He has all the intangibles and the abilities, but he does not do anything great. He's not worth that contract, in my opinion. But I think this is really affecting Daniel Jones. I think Jacksonville figures out a way to pull this game out. plus the game to Jacksonville, unless Jonathan Taylor goes crazy. Now, Jonathan Taylor goes crazy, he can take some of that pressure off of Daniel Jones. Then that's a whole different ball game. But yeah, I don't know what's up with the Colts. And then we don't know. Have we even found out what's going on with Sauce Gardner at this point? Let's find out. I got to get my iPad over here so I could have it in my face, so I could have this stuff where I can look it up faster. Let's see here. So Sauce Gardner was ruled out, and he's dealing with a calf injury. So he didn't tear his Achilles, but he is dealing with a calf injury. So they're probably going to try to keep him out as long as they can, as long as they can keep their foot on the gas and win that AFC South. But Jacksonville is coming. The game that's going to be interesting, no defense will be played this game, is the Bengals versus the Bills. That's going to be a shootout. But Buffalo need that game. So I want to lean Buffalo, but Buffalo's so inconsistent. They so inconsistent. And then if the Bengals win that game, I think that puts the Bengals a game and a half back if Baltimore wins. I can't do the math on that right now, but I want to go Bengals in that game. Buffalo can't figure it out. They having all types of issues. Keon Coleman has to get himself together. So I mean, they're in a situation where they need all the help they can get. They tried to pick up Darius Slay. Darius Slay contemplating retirement because he didn't want to go there. He wanted to sign back with the Philadelphia Eagles. So then we got a couple other. We got a lot of good matchups Sunday actually. Bears Packers is gonna be a good matchup too. Fighting for that NFC North. I'm going to take the Packers in that game. I think the Bears been riding high, but the Bears been getting away with winning these games by the skin of their teeth. And to me, Caleb Williams is not playing good football. He's playing complimentary football. But for where he was drafted at and what he's supposed to be is underwhelming. So I think Micah Parsons is going to be put on the loose to try to get to Caleb Williams and get him out of his game plan. Because like I said, for the most part, he's trying to stay within Ben Johnson's system. But if some pressure get to him and he got to start scrambling around, we'll see if the real Caleb Williams shows up at this point. So, but the Bears playing good football, though. They just – I just can't get with Caleb Williams right now. He's not – he's a game manager right now. I think he's only throwing like 52%, so – completions or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go with the Packers that game. Texas Chiefs is going to be a good game. The Texas defense is playing lights out. Stingley is on fire at that cornerback position. Chiefs offense still kind of look like it's stuck in mud. If Patrick Mahomes isn't doing magician-like work in that pocket, the Chiefs receivers really ain't getting open. Now, Rashid Rice, one minute he looks like he can be an elite receiver. Then he kind of like disappears every now and then. But it'll be an interesting game. The Chiefs defense is going to get after C.J. Stroud. If they could pick up some of those blitzes, I like the Texans in that game. I think the Chiefs is on the ropes right now. I do. So that's the Sunday night game. Then the Monday night game, which I'll be on probably an hour earlier than that before that game comes on. That's the Eagles and the Chargers. We know what's going on with the Eagles. Matter of fact, let's just talk about it real quick. Bring up these Eagles. If you go look at this page, I've made even little memes about Jalen Hurts you know, doing everything but being a quarterback. And I want to tell fans, listen, one, you should be egging and rocking nobody's house because this is sports at the end of the day. All we do is pay for our tickets or we pay for our NFL Sunday tickets or whatever you do. But you cannot make this a personal thing because your team isn't performing the way you see fit, where you start vandalizing people's houses because it's not going the way you want it to go. Not cool. But Kevin Patullo is not the problem in Philadelphia. Even if you go check my tweets, I've been saying this since 2022. Jalen Hurts is not that guy. He's not an elite quarterback. The Super Bowl showed some elite things that we felt like he can take that next step and be that guy. But he's not that guy. He's not an elite quarterback. He's more of a C plus quarterback with a lot of talent around him. So when everybody's thinking that Kevin Patullo is this guy that's, he's calling all these bad plays and the offense looks so terrible. No, Jalen Hurts does not want to go over the middle of the field. Period. He does not want to go over the middle of the field. He wants to do what he's doing. Hit the sidelines. That's what he wants to do. Because he wants to be perfect. Now, I can go into some other things that I think, but as a quarterback, he does not read the field. He processes very slow. It looks like Russell Wilson 2.0. And we're talking about Russell Wilson in these last couple years where it's either the deep ball or it's nothing. Now, when Russell Wilson was younger, he would scramble around and then he would scramble a man open. And that was his game. And then once Russ's legs went, then it was, or the athleticism wasn't there like it was when he was younger. Then you started seeing Russ just throw the moon balls. Well, that's Jalen Hurts' game right now. He's already not that big of a guy, so I don't know if he can see over his line well or whatever the case may be, but he's not going over the middle of the field. He's trying to be perfect. Partly, I think, because he's hearing the footsteps. That backup quarterback over there. That Tanner McKee over there. And I've said it in videos before. Kenny Pickett, when he was there last year, was the buffer. Because they didn't want Tanner McKee lurking in the background, putting any extra pressure on Jalen Hurts. Now that this year has happened and Kenny Pickett isn't there, now we're hearing those rumblings of Tanner McKee putting that pressure on Jalen Hurts to be that star quarterback because Jalen Hurts does not see the field well. Period. And it's not Kevin Patullo's fault that Jalen Hurts does not want to go through his reads. Jalen Hurts is trying to be perfect. It's either going to be a deep ball or it's going to be an out route because he's trying to be overly safe with the ball. When you're a quarterback, you got to put that ball all over play. And everybody thought A.J. Brown was crazy. Now, I will say this. A.J. Brown has gotten quiet because he's gotten the ball. Now, I wish he would speak up more, just keep speaking. But at the same time, Jeffrey Lurie did pull him into the office and told him, hey, nah, we ain't doing that. You ain't going to throw the quarterback under the bus. Just play your game. So, to A.J. Brown's credit, he has been quiet. You know what I mean? Like, he said, okay, but he's not a good quarterback. He's an okay quarterback. He's a game manager. And sometimes game managers, they'll get you to, they can get you to the promised land. You don't always have to be an elite quarterback to get you to the Super Bowl. Because if you got the players around you and the scheme fits, and then when you had Saquon Barkley running for 2,000 yards last year, with that offensive line moving people the way they was, Jalen Hurts' job was easy. It was an easy job. Now, when you lose Mekhi Becton, who's a mountain of a man, and you can't run that ball like you did last year. And by the way, Tyler Steen is so undersized at that spot, at that guard spot. So when they pull, he's getting pushed over. So everything can't be perfect for Jalen Hurts in order for him to succeed. So Philadelphia fans, stop egging Kevin Patullo's house because it's not him. They asked Jalen Hurts what he wants to do, and Jalen Hurts picks the plays that he wants. But what they have to do is, hey, D-Money, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Welcome to the practice squad. So when you bring in, when you look at Jalen Hurts and the way he plays football, that's not winning football. It's not winning football. And he's going to be, if the situation isn't perfect, this is what he's going to be. And I think Philadelphia fans have to look at it this way. He is limited in what he can do. They have to figure out how to get that run game going, and they have to play off of that run game. That's just it. And that's what it's going to be. This is who you got. Now, in my infinite wisdom, I think they move off of Jalen Hurts next year. They're waiting for the perfect time, in my opinion. Any hamstring pull, anything like that, they're going to pull them immediate. You see what's happening in Arizona with Kyler Murray. They already said he's done for the rest of the year. Why is that? Because they don't want him to actually get hurt and they can trade him in the offseason. I think that's what's going to happen with the Philadelphia Eagles. They may not make Jalen Hurts available immediately, but I do think that they're going to look at Tanner McKee sometime soon, especially if the wheels keep falling off this year. They're going to look at him soon. And they're going to say, hey, it's time to kind of sit you down, man. You look like your hamstrings bothering you, your shoulders bothering you. Let's pull you for a minute. And I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to pull him, and they're going to get Tanner McKee in there. And if that offense runs well, 2026 is going to be a real conversation. And it's still going to be some teams that's going to feel like, hey, Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl. He's been productive in his career. They may be interested in him. And Jalen Hurts' contract, the genius of Howie Roseman, is very movable. I think after this year, they don't have a lot of dead cap number on his contract the way they structured his contract. So that situation right there may be a situation going into 2026. And if the Eagles don't look good going into this game Monday actually, where they play the Chargers, and the Chargers get after that offense, and it's not clicking, we may have a conversation a little bit earlier about Mr. McKee. Just my opinion. But if that offense, they got a tough schedule. This was a tough schedule this year for the Eagles. And for the Eagles to even come out and be 8-4 with the type of schedule that they had and the lackluster quarterback play, Philadelphia's still holding on. If they can get it together a little bit, they may still end up making a run. But Jalen Hurts he's just an okay quarterback. It's just what it is. He's just an okay quarterback. If you're looking for him to be elite and make plays out of thin air, that's not gonna be him. I'm just being honest, not gonna be him. So I think so. Getting back to the score of that game, or who's going to win that game? I'm sorry. I think the Chargers. Well, let me say this: Justin Herbert's actually just had surgery on his hand, so I don't know if he's going to be all the way correct either. I think the Eagles figure a way to pull that game out. I think they figure out how to pull that game out. Yeah, I think that's their game to have. But if it keeps falling apart, though, there's gonna be some questions being asked at Philly. If you guys know how Philly fans is. They are already talking. They are not happy. So I just wanted to come on and talk with you guys. I appreciate the people who stopped through. Thank you so much. This is just the start of what we're doing. These are almost like rough shows right now. It's going to get better as it goes. And we going to have fun. We're going to have fun with this. And got some other announcements coming up sometime next week. So I'll let you guys know as far as that goes too. But we going to have some fun with this. I appreciate, the people that's come through here. That's pretty dope. I appreciate that. Let's see. It was one more thing I think I wanted to look into here that I think that might be all we have. I don't want to hold you guys too much longer. But again, I appreciate you guys. We're going to try to make this a daily thing starting Monday. Everything will probably be more in this live format. I like the live format. I want to interact with you guys. Like I said, we'll be doing a lot of contests and giveaways, and you guys, the community, will be a part of this show. So we are going to have fun. We're going to laugh. The interaction going to be big. So you guys come hang out with me. Uh, it's going to be something else. It's going to be something else. I promise you. We're going to do some good things. So uh, if you like what you guys are seeing, we're going to have the transitions and all the sound effects. All that stuff is coming. So we just starting. Just get ready. We coming. We coming. But I appreciate you guys coming by the live. Um, this was fun. This was fun. Ain't have to do no scripts and all that other stuff. I could just talk off the cuff and talk about what's going on in football news. We got college football tomorrow. We got all these championship games. And I might try to make some type of video or some quick live and come on and maybe do some post game stuff after all the big power four schools go off and maybe come chat for a couple minutes or whatever the case may be. So this is the format now. Uh, it's going to be live videos, and then we'll probably have like some clips or whatever the case may be. So again, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. Really do. The support is amazing. Uh, The community is going to be a big part of D-Nose and everything else that's going on. And I will speak on that in the next few days. But again, thank you so much. Salute to you guys. Salute to the chat. Appreciate you guys. And we're going to end this here. So, to the next time. Peace.